An excerpt from Safe. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying. This is just, I trail off under my breath, exasperated, though she continues to look at me with her head tilted to the side, and a warm smile creeps across her face. I take a breath. I hope I'm not making you uncomfortable. I'm not uncomfortable, she quips flatly, almost annoyed. Now show me how this dinosaur works. Relief washes over me in a warm, tingly wave, pulling me under and quieting the light's buzzing that has grown deafeningly loud. I gesture my right hand towards the knob she's touching, if I may, and playfully slap her hand away like you would a naughty child. She laughs, and I love her laugh. I check the back of the microfilm machine to make sure it's plugged in, then depress the Bakelite power button with a heavy click. Machine innards stir and buzz, growing in pitch and volume, like an old crankable gramophone. The screen flickers and illuminates with a warm yellow light. I turn my head to her and exhale. The thought of asking her to dance flits through my trachea. Now we just need to locate some She steps towards me and puts her mouth so close to mine I can feel the warmth of her lips and sweet breath while I hold mine. It makes me lightheaded, but before I can keel over, she mashes her lips against mine, hard, and withdraws with an audible smack. She keeps her eyes open, presumably to gauge my reaction. Leaning in, I press my mouth to hers, but gentler, desperately trying to communicate that this wasn't my plan. Oddly sorry, the back of my eyeballs burning and my mouth watering, thinking about her notebook and earnest interest in the work, only to be sexually assaulted in a technological graveyard. I'm sorry, I choke, then melt as she leans back in and parts my lips with her tongue, rolling it slowly around mine. She untangles her hands from my hair to wrap mine around her waist. I feel the weight of her lipstick, her painted lips transferring their rouge pigment under my nose and on my chin, tugging my bottom lip between hers, then tracing her tongue across it. It is equal parts tender, and I don't know what to do, so I use my tongue as a litmus test and push it as far inside her mouth as I can to see at what point she'll pull away, but she never does. The back of her mouth tastes sweet and feverishly warm. I want to be closer, so I gently pull her into me by closing my arms as if to hug myself. And for a moment, it feels parental in a way I'd never risk describing to her. She pulls herself back against the microfilm machine, taking me with her, the glow of the screen producing a halo effect around her red hair that makes it appear to be on fire. I take my mouth away from hers to look, a thin band of saliva connecting, thinning to monofilament, and snapping back to her lips. What? She whispers, with a twinge of embarrassment. I wordlessly lean in and bury my nose behind her left ear to inhale her skin, its soft, powdery musk mixing with a burning plastic smell emanating from the microfilm screen. I so love the smell of burning plastic. As a child, I collected items throughout the school day that I intended to burn in my friend Scott's backyard. We had beaten a trail into the outskirts of the golf course that served as our projectile-laden playground. A pink Barbie coin purse, army men, an empty juice box, graded homework, a doll head complete with wild blonde hair and an eye that remained open at all times to stare into your soul, lip balm, etc. Our elementary school pagan-esque ritual began with a small fire, using twigs and leaves, then introducing these things one by one. I would hold the doomed item against the flame as long as I could stand it, until the heat became unbearable and licked my fingertips. Then I would let go and watch the fire melt, distort, blacken, and completely incinerate the gifts I had offered. It always made me feel a little sad. The only evidence of their existence, ashes, and images burned into my retinas like a slideshow in every direction I turned my head. This practice only lasted a few months. Scott and I grew overzealous and tried to burn the side of a pine tree. In retrospect, we were lucky we didn't burn down the entire fucking golf course and surrounding homes. Vernon, our neighborhood's landscaper, noticed the charred tree and informed Scott's mother, who then told mine that her little girl was a firebug and a terrible influence on her sweet little Scotty, the same boy who years later participated in what I can only describe as a molestation merry-go-round involving 3 other boys from the block, with me as the offering, sitting in just my underwear in a new refrigerator's empty cardboard box. We were just kids, but that made me feel sad too, and ignited a fire inside me that burned all through my childhood and into my 20s. Fuck Scott and his cunt mother. Fuck Rusty, William, and Jonathan. In time, I got my revenge. I beat William to the ground with a small decorative wooden bat my parents brought back as a souvenir from Cozumel. I kicked Scott off his bicycle and turned his knees and palms into human crayons. I pushed Rusty out of a tree, his head missing a formidable rock by mere centimeters. My parents hurriedly placed me in karate classes so I would stop viciously attacking the neighborhood children. They never knew why I was so violent and angry, why I carved "fuck you" into the fairway's sand trap and poured water into the flaghole so it would freeze over in the middle of January. I still cackle at the memory of a very frustrated plaid golfer putting desperately, only for his neon yellow golf ball to roll directly over the hole, then beating the ice with his 9-iron and screaming, "God fucking damn it!" at 7 a.m. I stayed up all night waiting. Once he finished with his meltdown, I tooted an air horn and yelled 4, then scrambled back inside the house, more screaming echoing from behind and muting upon closing the door. Months later, an avid golfer and banker at the end of our block shot himself in the head. His widow put his belongings in the front yard before she moved out. Nothing had a price tag, and I sweetly examined his golf club collection for bits of brain and blood spatter. She let me take a small metal bracelet with tiny golfers entombed in resin, which I fashioned into a keychain. I hate golf. It's like watching flies fuck.